Mahi sat quietly in her car with Ranbir. Ranbir parked the car in front of the most expensive and luxurious hotel in Indore, where not everyone could afford to come. Mahi thought that Ranbir has come here to eat, so she also quietly got out of the car. Hotel Hyatt Palace was a 7-star hotel, and it was one of the hotels in Kapoor's. Ranbir often used to come here for business meetings. Many such hotels in Kapoor's were also abroad with the whole of India. In fact, it can be said that the chain of their hotels was also spread abroad along with India. Ranbir held Mahi's hand and took her inside. On seeing him coming, all the staff there, including the manager, started bowing their heads and greeting him. But Ranbir, without looking at anyone, Mahi's hand was held and went straight to the lift. Mahi was surprised to see the beauty of the hotel with her eyes wide open. Ranbir reached the lift and pressed the top floor button. The top floor of this hotel was kept for Kapoor's, where everyone had their own private rooms. The lift reached the top floor in 2 minutes. During this time, Ranbir did not leave Mahi's hand even once. As soon as the lift stopped, Ranbir moved towards his room. Ranbir's room was quite big and beautiful. Mahi was looking around the whole room. Poor girl forgot that it was Ranbir's room. And both of them are alone in this room. Ranbir sat on the sofa and looked at Mahi, who was happy in her own world. Mahi was wearing a crop top and a long skirt today. And her beautiful long hair were open. In a while, the waiter came in with a food trolley. And he decorated the table with ice bowls of different flavors and many other varieties of street food. And he greeted Ranbir and left. When Mahi saw so much food on the table, her mouth was surprised. She asked, "Isn't it too much food for both of us?" Ranbir said, "Not for both of us, but only for you. I will eat something else." She said this looking at Mahi's lips. But poor Mahi did not understand such words of Ranbir. Her entire focus was on food. As soon as Mahi heard that all this was for her, she quickly sat on the floor. And first of all, she took a picture of all the things to eat and sent it to Priya. Ranbir was watching all this while smiling. Then Mahi started eating. Then she remembered that she should also ask Ranbir once. So she moved a plate towards Ranbir. Ranbir shook his head and said, "You eat, I will eat later." Mahi also said carelessly, "Okay." After saying so much, she started eating again. After a while, when her condition worsened due to the chili, she quickly picked up the black sour bowl and started tasting it. Due to the bowl, her lips turned completely red. After a while, when her stomach was full of all this, she said to Ranbir, "My stomach is full, let's go home now." She was just saying all this, when she got a message on her mobile. That message was of Priya, in which she had written, "Yes, now brother-in-law will feed you all this, then later he will eat you with leisure." After seeing this message, Mahi said, "This girl is completely mad, I don't know what she keeps saying." After saying this, Mahi stood up and asked Ranbir to leave. Ranbir, who was looking at her with intense eyes, he got up and came close to her and said, "Baby, your celebration is over, now let me also celebrate a little." Mahi, looking at Ranbir's eyes, understood what he was going to do now. Because she recognized Ranbir's eyes. Mahi was away from him. Before that, Ranbir picked her up in his lap and took her to the bed and gave her almost a kick. Mahi tried to get up from there, so Ranbir held her both hands with one hand. Now Mahi was not able to move. Ranbir said, "I also want to taste Golgappa." Mahi understood what Ranbir was going to do, so she quickly turned her face to the other side. But Ranbir held her face and turned it towards himself and took her red lips in the grip of his lips. Mahi was trying her best to get rid of Ranbir, but Ranbir held her hands tightly. Ranbir was lovingly caressing her hair. After a while, Ranbir moved away from her. Now both Mahi and Ranbir were taking long breaths, but Ranbir had not released him from his grip. He again looked at Mahi's lips and said, "Oh, Golgappas were really very spicy. I think I should now taste the black sour bowl." Saying this, as soon as he moved towards Mahi's lips, Mahi quickly got rid of his grip and ran towards the washroom. Ranbir said with a bitter smile, "Baby, how long will you be able to escape from me?" Saying this, he got up from the bed and stood near the washroom gate and said, "Mahi, open the door." Mahi had tidied her clothes by then, and when she heard Ranbir's voice, she said while checking the lock of the door, "No, I am not coming out." Ranbir said to her in the style of giving a slight warning, "Baby, then I am coming inside." Mahi thought that the gate is locked, so Ranbir cannot come inside, and he is just saying this to scare her. So she also said in reply, "How will you come inside like this? I have locked the door." But that was Ranbir. He took out the key from the drawer and unlocked the door of the washroom and went inside. Mahi opened her eyes and started looking at him. Sometimes she looked at the door, sometimes at Ranbir. Seeing this, Ranbir started going near him with a devil smile. Mahi was slowly going behind him. She was holding her skirt in her fist out of fear. Now she had no place to go back, and Ranbir had come very close to her. Ranbir looked into her eyes and said, "I can come very close to you whenever I want, and you can't go away from me even if you want to. You know this, right? Still, why do you try to be stupid?" Saying this, he started kissing Mahi's neck. Then he said in a hoarse voice, "Mahi, you are really very beautiful. My desire for you is increasing day by day." Mahi was feeling very shy now. She was trying to keep her hand on Ranbir's chest and try to keep him away from her. But now Ranbir was completely lost in her scent. Maybe one reason was that after a long time he had come so close to Mahi. As soon as he got a little closer to Mahi, Mahi took full advantage of this and pushed Ranbir. Because of this, Ranbir moved 2 steps back. As soon as Mahi tried to run away, her foot slipped. Before Ranbir could handle her, she fell down and a slight scream came out of her mouth. Seeing Mahi lying on the floor like this, Ranbir shook his head and extended his hand towards her. Mahi was sitting with a sad face. She looked at Ranbir's hand and then at Ranbir. Ranbir pointed at her to hold his hand. So Mahi tried to hold his hand and get up. Then a sharp wave of pain ran in her foot and she again sat down holding her foot. Ranbir understood that Mahi had a sprain in her foot. So he stepped forward and picked up Mahi in his lap. From Mahi's face it was clear how much pain she was in. Because of the pain, she had tears in her eyes. Ranbir made her sit on the bed comfortably and started looking at her with her foot in his lap. Mahi held her hand and said crying, "No, don't touch me, it's hurting." Ranbir explained to her, "There is a slight sprain, it will be fine now. You just look at me." Mahi started looking at her with wet eyes. Ranbir started talking here and there to distract her from the pain. And Mahi also started listening to him carefully. Then again a sharp wave of pain ran in Mahi's foot and Mahi almost screamed. Actually, Ranbir took out the sprain from her foot with a snap. Then he looked at Mahi and said, "It won't hurt anymore." Mahi felt that in fact the pain in her foot had reduced to a great extent. Ranbir took out an ointment from the side table and applied it on her feet and gave her a light massage. Then he teased Mahi and said, "Shall I continue my work, wifey?" Mahi picked up the pillow and said to Ranbir, "You are such a heartless person. Don't you feel ashamed? My foot is hurting and you are still thinking about this?" Ranbir laughed at Mahi's reaction. Seeing him laughing, Mahi said, "Now you leave me at home, I am getting late." Ranbir teased her more and said, "Right now? The whole night is still left." Saying this, he started bowing to Mahi's face. Mahi got scared and closed her eyes. When she realized that she was in Ranbir's lap, she opened her eyes. Ranbir was lifting her in his lap and was going out of the hotel. Then he met Vedant, who had just come in. Seeing Mahi in Ranbir's lap, Vedant also stopped. Seeing his face expression, no one could guess what he was thinking at that time. Looking at Vedant like this, a devil smile came on Ranbir's face. He made Mahi sit on the chair next to him and put his hand in his pocket and came to him. Then he looked into his eyes and said, "Vedant Rathore, was there any special reason in our hotel?" Vedant also said with a bitter smile, "Why? have you banned me from coming to this hotel? And anyway, you are forgetting that this hotel belongs to my uncle too. So obviously, I don't have to tell you why I came here. After hearing this, Ranbir started laughing. Then he looked at Vedant and said, "You are right. This is your uncle, that is, my dad's hotel. And you can come here anytime. And soon your uncle and your aunt's daughter are going to get married to Mahi. By the way, your aunt must have told you." Saying this, Ranbir insisted on Mahi's word. He said this to make Vedant jealous, because he felt that Vedant was also interested in Mahi. And he would feel bad to know this. Does Vedant really have feelings for Mahi? Will Vedant try to stop this marriage? To know more, keep listening to Oh Baby only on Love Pulse Diaries.